Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Bryson here. Today I'm going to be doing some load development for the 40 Smith & Wesson for the Glock 35. Please excuse my voice, I've got a little bit of a cold today. It's just one of those things. But basically we're going to be developing a load for the Glock 35 here, which is it's unloaded. Just took the magazine out, chamber's clear. Basically, this is the competition Glock. I'm trying to get into competition shooting, so this is a great gun for that. And I want to come up with a good load for it. I have good load for the Glock 22 Gen 4 40 Smith & Wesson, but I want to make sure we got a good load for this gun so it can run to its full potential and do what it wants to do and do a good job at it. So I've got the Lee turret press today. I've already taken the time to go ahead and resize and prime 15 pieces of brass. So that's just going to make our process a little bit easier. Now, load development is basically, if you don't know what that is we go into our reloading books and we see the different data for the weight of the bullet and the caliber, and we try to find a load that will work in our guns and is more accurate than just throwing something in the gun and saying, oh, I hope this works. What I'm going to be doing is using a couple of different weights of powder, and I will go and shoot that under sandbags or whatever, get a good rest for that gun there, and see what turns to be the most accurate, excuse me. And if I find one that I really like, I'll load that and make basically an exclusive load just for that gun. Because if you load and you find that, say with AR-15s you're loading 223 and you find that your 16-inch AR-15 likes 26 grains of CFE 223 from the fine folks at Hodgdon, then you shoot that and it's very accurate, and you decide down the road that you want to build an 18-inch AR-15, and that rifle, you do load development with that, and it seems to like say 27 grains of Varget. Same Hodgdon company, different powder, different type of powder, all that. So it's a completely different powder, but it's just something that the length of the barrel, the different barrels, the different bullet weights you're using, just there's a whole lot of variables that will affect it. But if you do testing like I'm going to do, you'll come out with a better load for your gun and it'll be more accurate. That'll really just benefit you in everything you do with having a more accurate gun, having better ammo. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. And if the camera seems a little bit shaky, I've got it off the tripod. I'm trying something different today. That's why you're only seeing my hands. I've got this GoPro on a head camera. So basically I've got the turret press set up. We have a universal expanding die set up to flare the mouth of these 40 Smith & Wesson cases just a little bit. We're flaring that because we're going to be running some of our hitek coated 150 grain cast bullets. I'll put a link in the description to these great bullets. I'm actually finding a way that I'm trying to make these myself. We'll see how that goes. I'll have a video with that coming out soon. But basically we have to flare the mouth of the case just a little bit to allow that bullet to get seated without scratching the coating off of it. And then we're going to seat the bullet to our desired length, which our manual tells us what we need to do there, and then we're going to crimp the round. So I've looked at the load data and it tells us that we need 5.2 grains to 5.7 grains of Hodgdon HP 38, which is a great powder. You can't go wrong with HP 38. It burns clean. It's just an all-around great powder. And again, we're using CCI, small pistol primers for 40 Smith & Wesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 different sets of loads. I'm going to do 5.3 grains, 5.5 grains, and 5.6 grains, or 5.7 grains, excuse me. Because I don't really want to go on the lowest end. And I have already loaded up a bunch of 5.5 grain loads for my Glock 22 40 Smith & Wesson. And I know that thing eats them up, and I'm hopeful that this will go for the same load, but I want to make sure that it has its own load. You know, if it's the same one, great, that's just a benefit, but if it doesn't, it is what it is. I want to come up with a good, accurate load for it, because I plan to be shooting competition. So what we're going to do is we've already got these 5 cases set out per weight, and we are going to use our Frankfurt Arsenal scale here, and measure out each weight that we're going to do, and we will see how that goes. I'm not going to bore you guys with measuring out the powder and putting it in, but I will go ahead and do that and catch you guys once I've got each one filled with the correct amount of powder and separated so that we know which is which and we don't get them all mixed up. I'll be right back, everybody. Guys. So what I have done is I have gotten all of the 5 cases per weight filled up with their correct amount of powder. We've got 5.2 grains, 5.5 grains, and 5.7 grains. Basically what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of our projectiles here, and we're going to seat it using the Lee bullet seating and crimping die, but I also use the factory crimp after that, just to be sure that we got a good crimp on it. So first what I like to do is start with the lowest charge, just so that it's easier to remember. So we're going to start with 5.2 grains of powder, and I have also already flared the case just so that it'll accept the bullet. If you don't do that before you put powder in, the chances are sometimes the flaring pin that actually goes through and flares the mouth will go into the powder, and it can mess up your charge and get a little bit stuck on it. So what we're going to do is put the case in our shell holder, set the bullet right on top, and after we've flared it, I don't know if you can tell, but that bullet is sitting right on it very comfortably, and we're going to just raise that ram and you'll feel it seat. I've already preset this to the correct length, or what's supposed to be the correct length. So if you can see that, we've seated that bullet. So technically you could fire this as is if it's the correct length, which we're going to check that. But if you put a crimp on it in a semi-automatic pistol like this, if you don't put a crimp, you might have reliability issues with me shooting very fast with that gun right there. The bullet could, sneak its way out of the case a little bit, and that just causes more issues with case blowouts because the bullet's not in there right, and just a bunch of different other issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up our calipers here and zero those out, which you can see it's not on 0. There's a 5 there. We're going to zero that out and measure what it says we need to be at. So we're at 1.147, which is too long. What we're supposed to be at is 1.135 to 1.125. The magic number for me is 1.13 is usually what I like to have it at. So we're going to seat that just a little bit deeper. Screw that pin down. And we're going to check it again. let's see, make sure we're at 0 here. 1.141. We definitely need to go further, so we're going to just twist that a little bit. And you can feel when you run that back up, it seats it a little bit deeper. You feel the difference in pressure. 1.1365 is what that says. I just dropped it. 1.1365. Grab that real quick. Okay. So we got to go down 1,000th and a half at least. So I felt a little bit there. 1.34.5. Okay, so basically that will work. That is the overall length that is to SAMI specs. So this is going to be a perfect round. I'm going to go ahead and just run it a little bit deeper just for safety's sake. There's no problem in being safe. So 1.133 is what we got now. So we're going to go ahead and say that's good. And I'm going to switch it over to the crimping station, which I took the auto index out of this press just so that it's a little bit easier to deal with when you're doing in single stages like this. Go ahead and put that in the shell holder like that. Run that up, and you'll hear, if you hear that right there, that's the die squeezing down that crimp. So I like a little bit of a heavy crimp, not as heavy as I put on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but if you see that ring, it's just crimped that right down, so that's nice and tight. So right now this is a good round, ready to go to the range with 5.3 grains of powder. I believe that's what it was. Honestly, I get numbers mixed up. I have it written down. So now what we're gonna do is just go through and seat the rest of these bullets. So again, the same charge. I'm doing 5 of each, giving me a chance to shoot 5 times. And I just dropped that bullet once again. So 5 rounds, it's a good number to go by. Again, we're coming out right where we need to be. So basically we will keep going with this. I will get all these loaded up, guys, and once I'm done, I will catch you guys back once we go ahead and shoot. Alright everybody, I got back from the range from doing those test rounds. We got some interesting results, and basically what I found is with 5.2 grains we had the worst accuracy at competition ranges. Not bad, but not great. We did fair there. We kept it all on the target, which this target isn't very big, which I have big hands, but comparison, you can see it's about the size of your hand, so not a giant target, but we did fair. Then you bring it up to 5.5 grains. We got a bullseye there, right in that range. That one I'm pretty happy with. And again, this is kind of like freehand stuff. I'm not doing this from sandbags, just because they didn't have any sandbags and I couldn't do that at that point. But I can get a general idea, because in competition I'm not going to be shooting from sandbags. I'm going to be shooting freehand, but I've got steady hands. I can, handle it that way. And 5.7 grains. We got a flyer here, but most of them were in the general area. I was pretty happy with both 5.5 and 5.7. I think a mix between the two, right around 5.6 grains, is what's going to do it, because I had a bunch of 5.5 grains to 5.6 grains loaded up, and with that went ahead and put some tape, and those don't count because these were from a different gun, but all of them were pretty much in the in that tape there, which I'm pretty happy with. And that is, let's see, the tape itself was around, the area was, say, 2.5 inches by 1 3/4 inches, somewhere around there. So I put all of them in that area, and shooting like that, I mean, with a handgun at fair distance, I'm pretty happy with that. I got no complaints. But other than that, that's pretty much what load development is. I'm going to do more videos on load development and stuff like that. This is just kind of a quick video I threw together because I needed to do more videos, and I'm trying to get more ideas as to what I want to do. Excuse me. I'd love to see what you guys recommend me do. You know, what kind of videos do you want to see? Do you want to see shooting videos? Do you want to see more reloading videos? A combination of both. Got a lot of different things planned coming up soon, so you guys will be there to see that. I definitely want to see what you guys want to see more of. You know, you want to see something that is age-based for my age. You know, I definitely want to talk about a few different things coming very soon. Might be a little controversial, but definitely things I think that people in the gun industry and all that need to know about being a young person in the gun community, and just what that's like, just the different ways you're treated and all that. And I'm not complaining, but I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. That's just something I threw together. So thanks guys, have a good one.